Hey everybody, Ailey Martinez here, author, renowned, eccentric, I don't know. I haven't recorded a video in a long time, so I thought I'd go ahead and pop on in and do one in honor of my new book, Emperor Mollusk versus the Sinister Brain by Ailey Martinez, which is me. This is my ninth book. It's my ninth fantasy science fiction book. This is sci-fantasy. I mean, it's not hard science fiction, but it's set in a universe with aliens, and our hero slash villain, I don't know what you want to call him, is a space squid from Neptune who conquers the Earth in the backstory and then gives it up because he kind of has to do some things he doesn't like. And then what happens is he gets attacked by assassins, and there's this whole plot with this evil brain that's basically stealing his technology to do harm to the world and the universe, and Emperor Mollusk can't really allow that. I think it's a great book. I really enjoyed writing it. You're probably sick of hearing about it if you follow my blog or my Twitter. It's out due out March 5th. You might see it in store already. You can probably get it on Amazon. Some people have already got a hold of it. I've seen it in some stores myself. So check it out. If you like my stuff, you should like it. I've also opened a Cafe Press store, cafepress.com/Ailey Martinez. Just some merchandising. And with you don't have to buy anything. If you want to go buy anyway, you can see some original art that I've done with my wife. My wife's help. She's a graphic artist, so she takes my amateur doodles and turns them into something really good. Here's a preview of something. It's like the propaganda poster for the story. It's sort of set in story, and this is a small version. You can probably get. I think you can get a version that's twice as large, but yeah, anyway, you can look at it. I also have EmperorMollusk's mugs, enslaving your world for a better tomorrow, and that's my logo I came up with, EmperorMollusk. They have one that's different for the book, which is really good too. So, um, and then there's also EmperorMollusk t-shirts that I just got this in the mail today. It's pretty nice. Anyway, if you just want to look at it, look at it. You might decide something you'd like to buy, and if you don't want to buy it, hey, you can see some cool art. You can also go to my Facebook page, aileymartinez.com slash. I mean, no, Ailey Martinez at Facebook. That has some original art, some of it based on the book, and characters and stuff in the book. And I've wrote a series of blog posts on my website, aileymartinez.com, talking about the book too. So there's a lot. If you I don't waste too much of your time talking about the book because there's plenty of material to talk about to do it. Actually, so now that the plugs are out of the way, I'd like to go ahead and talk about a little bit about writing, which is kind of strange, but I think it's important, and because there's a lot of misconception about writing, and one of the ones that I really wanted to stress recently that's come up quite a bit, and I've heard people saying it, is the technical aspects of writing. People always are worried about like passive voice or point of view or plot structure. Um, Maybe it's controversial to say this, but those are not essential to write a good book. What really gets a book going is voice and personality, and if you have that, you can get away with a lot. Now, I'm not saying you can't. You can write like a terrible book with horrible writing and like terrible passive voice and no central character, but you have a great narrative voice. That's probably not going to happen. But a lot of writers, especially aspiring writers, worry about all the technical aspects without really developing the most important aspect, which is your voice. You something that separates you, that makes you distinctive, or that even if you're not distinctive, something that gives you energy and fun. I mean, I feel like this book is very much something I would have written, and I feel like that's because, yeah, it's not just the subject matter. It's not just the fact that it's about a space squid from Neptune and it's got all these pulpy influences, because those are common anyway. It's because it just has a certain personality that's in the narration and in the quality. Um, I especially bring this up because too often I hear people like taking things as gospel. These rules, for example, like I'll hear all the time about editor, if they see the word "was" on the first page, they won't read your book. And or if there's an adverb on your first page, it's just weak writing, and they'll just put your book down. I just don't think that's true. Now, again, this is only my experience, and while I'm a professional writer, I've only dealt with this very small portion of the business. But too often, there's this myth that publishers can be broken down, like what they're looking for is a technical, which is just not very often true. I've worked with several agents. I've worked with with two publishers and two different editors, and I can tell you, I've never heard my editor or agent or anybody say the word point of view. It's something writers worry about, and it kind of makes sense what you're worried about. You're talking about an emotional center for the scene, but my editors, my agents, no one's ever been upset by point of view and breaking it because it's just not that important. It's more important. It's more important what it represents. Point of view represents having a strong center to your scene, a character that we can identify with, or narrating it so that we're there. It doesn't even have to be in the head of a character. But when a lot of people get confused because they think it's about like being very specific. You have to be exactly in their head. You have to think, and you can't hear what anybody else is thinking, and you can't if they can't see it, then you can't narrate it, which is just it's nonsense. It's nonsense. I think also passive voice is another good example. Was is a word that yes, if you're using it a lot, you're probably not writing as well as you could. But if you're doing it just you can have was or so. In fact, was is a good word to use. Sometimes writers will twist themselves into knots to avoid using was when it's a much simpler way of doing it. Sometimes they were walking. Sometimes they just were walking. It's okay. It's not a sin. Um, which is not to say you should, write full of this stuff and walk away and say, well, Ailey Martinez said I could do it because yeah, I don't really know how I got published, but it still means you're much more focused on your voice and your narrative style than on these technical issues. Once you've got the technical issues down, and they're pretty easy to get down because they're the simple aspect of writing, you're done. I guess that's really what I wanted to say. I don't know if it helps anybody out there. I don't know if anybody cares, but I just know I run to a lot of aspiring writers, and I talk to a lot of aspiring writers, and they really sweat this detail a lot, and they feel like if they put the wrong word in the first paragraph that they're done. Like the agent editors are going to just throw the book away and consider them a hack. And I just don't know if that's true. If you write a great story and the editor gets to like the end of it, they're not gonna say, well, it was a great story and I loved every bit of it, but they used too much passive voice. It's just not going to happen. That I will guarantee you. If you can keep someone's attention for the whole novel, you're done. Anyway, I guess that's it. If there's any other follow-up questions, I'd love to answer them. So go ahead and leave a comment section. Let me know if this is helpful to you. Let me know if you care about it at all. But one last thing to remember is that Emperor Mollusk. One more time, hey, this is how I make my money. Comes out March 5th, and maybe next time I'll read a little bit something from it. I don't know if anybody cares, but anyway, I'll talk to you later, folks. Bye.